Macedonia did a 50 year, and this time's video is sponsored vinniecorleone62, and this is 5 community questions. Right, so let's just get on with it anyway. So, right, number 1. What percentage of retro versus modern gaming do you do annually? Currently at the moment it's probably around 50-50. I mean, when it comes to the older stuff, the stuff I play quite a bit, and at least a few hours at least a week, or at least 1 or 2 hours anyway, depends on the game as such. But is the game for the Tubers High Score Challenge group, where we just play a game and we just see how far we can try to get the best score possible in an arcade game in a credit. I'll post a link in the video description for anyone else who wants to join and take part in that. So we do a few hours of 1 or 2 hours of that a week, but sometimes a few, depends on the game probably. Right, what other older games I play? I play lots of older games when I'm kind of in Skype calls. I'm not the only person I know who does this either. I mean, quite a lot of people know Skype do this. They're always streaming themselves playing old games and they're just having a conversation. It's just probably because it's something to do on Skype, and when you're playing older games, basically older games like probably pre-PS1 now, like, it doesn't like crazy machine screen sharing it, so you can see it usually pretty well. Well, a lot of games I play for emulation. Oops, pardon me. But I actually have lots of the real systems. Obviously I don't for arcade. I'm not a multi-billionaire and I don't have that much room. But what else? When it comes to modern games, well, I've only got 3 modern, what people consider modern game systems. Well, some people would not call it modern, but I've got a 360, Xbox 360, a PS3, a Wii. Of all of them, the Wii gets used the least. The PS3 doesn't get used an insane amount either. I have nothing against it. I mean, I've got games for it, but there's not many games for the PS3 I actually want. I only really got game exclusives for it that I wanted. That and South Park Stick of Truth, because Ubisoft, being Ubisoft, actually censored all the versions that got released in Europe. So I've actually got a US copy of the PS3 version. I don't know why they did that. Stupid thing to censor as well, to be honest, because it was something that were in the episodes and they had no problem showing. Well, anyway, not arguing about Ubisoft being crap. They might come into the later questions though. So yeah, we've been playing. Yeah, the one that definitely gets more supply out of the 3 consoles is definitely the 360. The Wii, I have nothing against the Wii as it comes to games. It's just that all the nonsense you have to do, like you have to basically charge batteries up and all that nonsense just to play the Wii, and it's kind of a pain in the backside. I mean, the other consoles, I've just got a charger pack, just plug it in, let it charge for overnight, and that's it, and it works. There's no faffing around as such. So yeah, when it comes to percentage wise, it's probably about most of it, if you class as modern, is actually on the 3DS, because I go on that every single day. I mean, just recently today I've literally played a bit of Freedom Wars on my Vita and failed a mission after spending like 45 minutes fighting these monsters, running out of time. That were annoying. I did another level really easy after that. I mean, when I was just waiting for something, and couldn't go anywhere, so not what else to do. And just sitting there watching TV and doing something I do a lot of the time, and definitely it's why I'm one of the probably most played of all of the current sort of generation console, not the 3DS. I was just literally on Pokemon, just doing wonder trading, and just got randomly trading Pokemon, and swapping them back and forth to random users, and got a few good ones. I mean, yeah, I got a shiny Aboma. Is it a Boma Snow, or is that its evolution? I don't know, the ice grass one, I forgot the moment. I can't remember its name. That one and a shiny Polytoad, they're pretty difficult to get hold of Pokemon. I just got them from some random person, just give them out. Max level 100 ones as well, that was great. Yeah, really, when it comes to percentage wise, I play more modern stuff. Oh, there's also my PC as well. I play quite a lot of games on the PC also when I'm just watching YouTube videos and like people's like reviews of movies and games and stuff where it's just them talking, I'll just play different name, I don't know what they're called. Video blogs. I'll just watch them and just play a PC game or something, and that Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or Dev Pro sometimes it's called, basically online fan Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, that one gets played quite a bit on my PC. I can do most of these when I'm talking to other people or just listening to something, so that's a plus point. So yeah, it's probably about 50-50, it's probably, is it that 50? It's probably about 75% modern, about 25% retro for me. If that's the if you count emulator games on PC of that. So yeah. Right, so number 2. What is your favourite genre of games, past and present? Now, when it comes to past, well, this one's going to be straightforward and simple. I used to love playing platform games like most people did growing up in the 90s. It's a shame there's not many big budget platform games out these days. I mean, they just kind of just died out, which is really unfortunate, and I don't know why they never tried to like improve them or anything. They didn't, so yeah. Another one, I mean, one of the very first games I ever actually played all together, caused me actual Mega Drive, actually came with it, was Streets of Rage. So yeah, I love me myself and beating ups. I'm never changing that. Still one of my favourite genres, me. Strange enough, modern developers really do sometimes not understand how a beat 'em up works, no matter how simple it is. And then you get people that review them these days on the modern ones, just bashing them, just saying that's repetitive. They just do the same thing over and over again. This always made me kind of laugh in general when it comes to people that talk about beat 'em ups, because all you do in games like Call of Duty is press the R1 trigger over and over again, just shooting people. How is that any different than a beat 'em up? All you in a racing game is keep over a button most of the time and just dodge things and go around in circles, essentially. All games work like this, so this complaint always bugged me, and people go, no, but it's too repetitive. I mean, you know, most beat 'em up games take under an hour to beat. Oh, sorry about that. And then there's all people go, yeah, but beat 'em ups are dead. No, beat 'em ups are not dead. I mean, if beat 'em ups are dead, how come I found 60 of them, and I probably missed some as well, on the free Xbox 360 when I did that video that I wanted to see for ages, the A to Z of Xbox 360 beat 'em ups. I found 60 games for that video that count as beat 'em ups. 60 games, and some of them was actually series, so I didn't actually record footage of the sequels that played like either, so it was actually more than 60. Now, anyone who says beat 'em ups are a dead genre, they're not, because technically the 360 brought the beat 'em ups back to life. You can especially find one certain game for that called Castle Crashers. Before Castle Crashers, there wasn't many beat 'em ups out there. Well, yeah, beat 'em ups are still around, but there wasn't many beat 'em ups on the PS2 as such. Well, if you don't count arcade compilations of, well, 90s Capcom stuff, and well, I'm not counting them as such. I'm counting original games for the time being. They existed, yeah, but original ones there wasn't many. That, a lot of them ended up becoming free because everything was going 3D and everything became 3D just like them. I mean, yeah. I mean, there was beat 'em ups on the PS3, PS2, and original Xbox, but it was very rare. There was a few. I'm not really. I've been a massive argument at that, history of that and all that here, but it was a mess because there was all that complete nonsense going on. And then suddenly Castle Crest came out and beat 'em ups became popular again, and And suddenly Ninja Turtles, all the classic 80s arcade games and 90s arcade games are on 360 on PSN. You could just download them and play them, and they had online play and online leaderboards and stuff and things that the originals didn't have. Which is yeah. People don't seem to think of that, but that's what actually happened. There seems to be less of them on the Xbox One and the PS4, but at the same time at this, PC developers now are sort of making beat 'em ups, so the sort of being what beat 'em ups the kind of game indie developers can do perfectly fine. You don't need a massive budget to make one that plays well. It's unfortunate quite a lot of modern ones completely screw it up. I mean, when I was playing recently, what are it called? Arson and Plunder Unleashed. Wow, that one was a badly designed beat 'em up. I mean, totally unbalanced for single player. I mean, such bad designs. And they even said in the thing that they inspired by 90s beat 'em ups, but they obviously didn't know what they was talking about. Right, and so what next one, right? Right, another genre. Now, this is a genre that's also kind of sort of deadish on consoles. It's got less games than beat 'em ups on the 360 and PS3 had, but that's space shooters. I love myself my arcade space shooters, or shoot 'em ups as some people call them, or shmups, but I always call them shooters because that's the name they was originally called. But for some stupid reason, people these days just sit there and when they think shoot, they think Call of Duty. I mean, that's not a shooter. Yes, you shoot things, but that's not a shooter. Why did people just accept an entire genre name change and acceptable just like that? I just don't get it. When I say shooter, I always think things like Gradius and R-Type and things. I'm never going to think Call of Duty Doom, because that's a first-person shooter. I mean, people don't call third-person shooters shooters. They call them third-person shooters. So why do they call first-person shooters shooters still? I don't get it. And now there's first-person perspective games, which people call shoot, even though they don't involve barely guns like Xenoclash. I mean, you spend the entire game pretty much punching things. You don't shoot things with a gun in that game, but some people would still count it as a first-person shooter, even though there's very few guns in it. It's more of a first-person game, that one, but. Right, so what the genre I play the most these days is, well, outside space shooters. I mean, I'm guaranteed to spend hundreds of hours on. It doesn't matter what type of game it is, and that's monster racing games. I don't know that's not. I mean, monster racing games is pretty much a genre of its own. I mean, most people would think that and think Digimon. Well, not Digimon, they're probably going to think Pokemon, but Pokemon and Digimon are the most well-known ones in this genre. I mean, basically RPGs where you have pet monsters to fight each other instead of, like, regular party members. I can play them games for insane amount of hours. A few days after this is coming out, actually, Yokai Watch is coming out, which is the closest Japan got to a game that nearly outsold Pokemon. And the game was massively different than Pokemon design-wise. I mean, you walked around, you had like a scanning glass and that, and you have to like walk around the street solving people's daily problems and fighting ghost spirits that basically have weird abilities, like one that makes you forget things and stuff, and basically kept them as pets and just fight other ghosts. And I just love those games because I've always been a big fan of crazy-looking monster design, and they always have them. There's very few that have very lame designs. I mean, there's also a genre that pretty much mostly the Japanese are good at, and the rest of the world, I don't know. Well, sometimes it does it well, but other times they just do it kind of badly. It really kind of depends, doesn't it? But yeah, I love my Monster Trainer games or Monster Ranger games. I mean, the ones I use, the definite series in that genre I played the most. Obviously, well, one's Pokemon, which is pretty much my favourite game series of all time. Monster Rancher, well, when I specifically mean Monster Rancher, I mean Monster Rancher 2, which was called Monster Rancher 1 in Europe, just to confuse you even more, but and Digimon games, but yeah, I played one of them in quite a while. So yeah, my favourite genres are beat 'em up, space shooters, and monster training RPGs. I really like Shin Megami Tensei 4 as well. I mean, I even got an American copy of that game. Once the 3DS went region free, someone found a way through YouTube to make the 3DS region free. Unfortunately, Nintendo patched it, so I can't play that game anymore. I did actually complete the game once though before they fixed it, so, and that took me 60 hours. So yeah, I got my money's worth out of the game, but it sucks I can't play it anymore just because Nintendo refused to make the 3DS region free, which is just annoying. But that's another thing. Right, so, right, here we go now. This is going to be a long one. I can see that one coming. Question number 3. What's your biggest concerns or fears for the gaming future? I've got a lot. I mean, modern game companies don't really understand. Modern game companies have kind of terrible art design. Like, all the games just want to look photorealistic, and to me that's just so bland. I mean, I don't play games for realism. I mean, to me, it's the just takes the point out of what a game is if you try to make it realistic. I mean, if you simulate driving a car, that's fine, but games like Grand Theft Auto do not simulate really try to be realistic, but at the same time, the stuff you're doing it's not realistic at all because you're just some person running around murdering like a couple of billion people, and no one seems to care. There's also the fact that lots of modern game designers don't like how the big budget games look. I mean, they all have the same appearance. They just look like photorealistic people. I mean, there's no originality or any unique art styles or anything. You never get to have any inventive characters anymore in big published games. It's just really kind of sad. I mean, I just look at games like Watch Dogs, and the first thing when I first saw that game was like, I was getting hyped for it, and I was just sitting there. It's just another Grand Theft Auto clone. Why do people care about this so much? And in the long run, I was right, because when the game came out, people kind of bashed it and didn't think much to it, did they? So, yeah. I was alright there. But yeah, I mean, another problem the big AAA business in general is, and it's affected smaller companies now, is greed. I think greed is pretty much ruining gaming future because, I'm going to use an example of a game that came out a few years ago, Saints Row 3, Saints Row the Third. Saints Row the Third had the online blocked at was part of this stupid nonsensical craze that had, which unfortunately still affects PS Vita games, where they have an online pass. So if you buy it used, you have to pay extra money to basically play the online on it. But there's no way to test if the online people play see if anyone's playing online before you buy this pass. So you could just waste your money. Nobody could be playing it. Well, the online pass thing seems to have slowly, pretty much almost died out now because well, they've realised they've got another way to eat money out of people. Microtransaction nonsense. And that's something people years ago never had to worry about. I mean, now I need a special like item in a game or something. Oh, essentially a lot of these microtransactions aren't even real microtransactions. They're essentially paying you like real life money. Oops, pardon me. For a cheat code. Don't the Battlefield games have a DLC called Shortcut Mode that unlocks all classes, and it's something like about $30 or something. Like, if you essentially paid $30, but you pay £20 for an unlock code for a game, just to unlock everything. You don't even carry over to the previous game. There's something wrong with you. That should be free. And that's the problem we have in general with microtransaction nonsense and DLC. I mean, it's games like Dead or Alive, and that's a series is horrendous for it. I mean, Dead or Alive was meant to be a fighting game series. The amount of DLC that game has is absolutely insane, and it's all just costume DLC. Now, in the earlier games in that series, you beat the game, you unlocked more costumes. The costumes was a reward for playing the game. There's no reward for just giving someone £3 for a stupid hat and a hat for your character to wear. It's not an award. I mean, it's not even like most of these games have any benefit. The costumes do anything. Either it's just a costume. It doesn't help you win at the game or anything. It's just an extra costume. So, and then you've got, and that's another thing where it gets really frustrating with all this. Because of all this DLC nonsense, games have 1 million patches these days and updates because they're constantly adding stuff to them all the time. So you've got all this nonsense going on where you're just like collecting something. And yeah, I can play this game, and then suddenly you turn it on going, oh, you want to play this now, you gotta download this 5 GB patch, and most of it is just pointless character costumes, just so you can see that, so other players can see people playing against them. And you don't get any, most of these companies don't even give you anything free in these download patches to reward you for downloading them. And that's another problem I actually really dislike the current gaming on console specifically. Patches every 5 seconds. Every time an update comes out, ginormous patches. I don't get it. I mean, the thing that bugs me about it is they don't know how to compress the game sizes down at all. I mean, when it comes to these game sizes, what they should be doing is compressing them. I mean, when the 360 came out, Microsoft had rules that every piece of download content had to be under 500 megabytes. Now you've got games like Master Chief Collection that have like 30 gigabytes. That is just literally the online multiplayer of the game. Of all the maps for the previous games, which obviously, we can't throw that on a disc. Like we did with early ODST, where you had basically a disc just full of Halo 3 multiplayer maps. No, we have to send ways another 30 gigabytes of your hard drive up just for multiplayer. And then along with that, you've got update patches to fix bugs, and they take more room up as well. So it's probably more than 30 gigs. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and they should be ashamed of the size of the games they're getting. I mean, you know there's a problem when it comes to sizes when Pac-Man on the Xbox One is over 900 megabytes. 900 megabytes for Pac-Man. On the Xbox 360, it was 13 megabytes. Here's the thing, that had menus and leaderboards added to it as well, so it wasn't just the direct ROM just thrown on there. So, if it's only 13 megabytes on an Xbox 360, how did it end up becoming 900 megabytes on an Xbox One? And there's no crazy features or anything like that, it's just the original Pac-Man, nothing else. So yeah, Namco released 4 old arcade games from the early 80s, I think it were Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Dig Dug and Gallagher, that take up like over 3 gigabytes of storage space up. When the actual ROMs of these games, if you play them on MAME, are under 20 kilobytes a piece. So essentially, yeah, that means the Xbox One versions of those games is something like about 50,000 times larger than the original file size. If that doesn't say that these companies do not care about your hard drive space, I don't know what it does, because that is absolutely shameful, and they should be absolutely embarrassed about releasing something like that. Learn to compress your files, guys. It's just not on for the rest of people. I mean, my 360 drive's I think 250 gigabytes. I've got over 200 different games on it. Easy. You'll never get an Xbox One hard drive with that many games on it. It's impossible because of the ridiculous file sizes everything has. Absolutely ridiculous. Then you've got the other problem with the gaming future at all. The companies do not care about the customers anymore whatsoever. I mean, Sony are the worst to this. I mean, think about it. So, oh look, we announced a new PlayStation HD or whatever it's called, PlayStation Neo thing, whatever that is. Well, they've essentially made a better version of a previously made system they've already created, and you're not doing anything, and in 2 years, and that's what the system should have been like to begin with. And you've got the sheer laziness of Sony. I mean, oh look, I'm sorry, yeah, we finally got PS2 games available on the PS4. Oh yeah, but they're all separate. You have to buy them all as digital downloads because of added trophies to them. That's the problem I have with it as well. I mean, adding trophies to something doesn't sound like a bad idea, but here's the thing: if you're re-releasing old games that had trophies that didn't have trophies before, you're spending money and development costs adding them trophies to the game. That gives you less tight chance to release more games. And here's the thing: they didn't have trophies to when they added download original Xbox games to the 360. No, they were just like direct copy of the actual game. Did anyone complain? No. No, some people still bought them. You know, Microsoft didn't really do that thing for very long, but they still did it, didn't they? So, yeah. And that's another thing I'm getting, which is a mess, in my opinion. And then, I mean, really, with the backwards compatibility, I can sort of get why it does not run PS3 games on the PS4, because Sony gives the Cell processor was a complete mess of a processor and really difficult to work with. And nothing used it, so it make it harder to emulate and stuff. But here's the thing: I don't know what their excuse was. Why it cannot play PS1 games? I mean, with PS1 and PS2 games, you should be able to just throw that game into the PS4. It downloads it to the system, and you could just play it. I mean, there's emulators that 100% work for both of these systems for years. I mean, PS1 is so basic that like a £50 phone can run it perfectly. My PC from like about year 2000 or 2001 could emulate PS1 games perfectly, and you could still buy PS1s in shops at the time. Yeah, it's too much for a PS4 to even run PS1 games, and that's another problem. If Sony wanted to make PS4 games, PS2 games for the PS4, that's fine and all, but why do not all the PS2 games that was available as downloads on the PS3 work on the PS4? Even the virtual console games, they all work from the Wii to the Wii U. This is what I mean. It's just pure greed, and Sony do not care. I mean, that PlayStation Now thing, that's also a complete pathetic joke. I mean, video game. I mean, the idea of a rental system for a game isn't bad, but their prices are ridiculous. And the fact there's no way to 100% own your game either through the system. You cannot. You have to rent it. You can only have it for like 3 months. Then you need to rebuy it again. What was the point? That could have worked as an idea, but they completely screwed it up with that one thing. And then you've got the Vita. Oh, there's so many things wrong with the Vita. I mean, so many bad design flaws the Vita has going for it. I mean, Sony literally sent that machine to die. They give it some support, literally, the first year it came out. Still barely any advertising. And just ignored the fact it ever existed. And then they do, oh, we've got this new model thing, like portable version you can plug into your TV called a PlayStation TV or a Vita TV. Okay. So what do they do with that? They intentionally go out the way to put this whitelist on it. So lots of Vita games, PSP games, obviously digital, and PS1 digital games, do not work through the Vita TV. But they will work perfectly fine through the regular Vita. And some games are blocked like this on the actual Vita itself. I mean, this is Sony for you. This is how much they care about the customers. For example, live in America, you cannot play any of the Crash Bandicoot games on any Vita system. The rest of the world, you can. Where's the sense and logic in that? I mean, so it's not even like even if you had a digital library on Sony systems, it means it's going to carry over to the next, even if it 100% can. Someone at Sony said, nope, don't play that. And here's the thing: with a Vita TV, somebody found a hack of it using an email thing, which I did to mine, which is the reason why it never goes online anymore. That this whole list thing this single email removed the entire list. Then every single game that soccer would not work with a Vita TV worked perfectly fine after this list happened. So yeah, well, there's a few games you can't actually play on the Vita TV due to the camera, and there's other games that are just listed on there just for the sake of it, like Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice. Now these are only put on the block list just because they have touchscreen minigames which are optional. The games themselves are fully playable on the Vita TV, but they're blocked. And it's not even logic blocking either. I mean, you can have a cartridge and it's blocked as well. I mean, I've got one called, one of the games I've got is the STG'S game on the Vita. The European version of that game does not work on the Vita TV, though the US version and Japanese version does. So, isn't this? I mean, this is why I definitely don't trust Sony in the future. And Microsoft, well, I don't know if Microsoft will do the same things as Sony are doing. Hopefully not. I mean, Microsoft have been changing their mind. I mean, when the Xbox One came out, their original plans for that was horrendous and utterly stupid, and rightfully so. They changed it because it absolutely ridiculous. And all this digital only crap and needing a Kinect all the time plugged in for it to work and all that, and saying using his exclusive, it needs all these things. Then conveniently they all got removed. I mean, literally, one person at the launch of the Xbox One or work, Microsoft literally said, "You're wanting backwards compatibility." So I'm backwards wanting playing my games, so actually have a large library of games from the system and not have to rebuy pointless remasters all the time. And that's another reason why modern gaming sucks. Too many remasters. It's interesting somewhat Microsoft would say that, because look what they're doing now. They're trying to make some Xbox 360 games backwards compatible with the Xbox One. And they found a way to do it and do it pretty well. So if Microsoft can do it, I'm sure Sony can do it. Especially, to be honest, they just don't want to. They just don't see the point because they're just greedy and they'd rather just throw them up, rebuy everything over and over again, pointless remasters. And I bet they'll do the same thing with the PS5 if there's a PlayStation 5 as well. Right, so yeah, that's went on quite a bit, didn't it? Right, so number 4. Right, where do you see your gaming collection in 5 or years more? Well, I can see part of the gaming collection improving in 5 or more years, but other parts of it I can't see. Well, I'm more of a physical collector when it comes to consoles. I mean, in 5 years' time, there's definitely not going to be a Vita, that's for sure, because Sony just don't want that thing dead already. And I think that's definitely going to be the only cartridge-based Sony platform pretty much ever. And the NX might be cartridge-based, but no one actually knows if it is going to be yet. So, can't say that. Yeah, I definitely prefer physical over thing, and that's, as I said in the previous one, that's another problem with modern games. You're not getting the entire game on the discs anymore either. And that's going to hurt physical collections altogether. I mean, what's the point? I mean, we've got games designed these days that you need. I think the game coming out called Battleborn. That's a single player mode, but you need an internet connection to play it. I mean, what's the point in having a single player mode if you need an internet connection to play it? It just destroys the point of a single player mode. So if they shut the servers down, the online goes down and the single player goes down. What, just so people can't level up and cheat on single player? Who cares? It's a video game. Right, but yeah, I don't think I see him collecting older games in 5 years' time, because the price of older games has just got utterly ridiculous over the years. And they're just going up and up and up. I don't think they'll ever drop down to the prices they were a few years back when they were considerably cheaper either, so there's that. I'll probably still playing it, but in 5 years' time I'll probably still play my 360 and all that, and my 3DS, and after all my 3DS can play DS games as well. Maybe I'll have a new 3DS by then, or maybe there'll be a new model, new handheld by Nintendo altogether. We don't know yet, do we? But yeah, let's keep going. I could definitely see I'm probably going to have more of a library on PC probably back then, like of newer games, than I will on consoles. Which is I'm going to go, which moves into the final question, number 5. What are you looking forward to most with development in the future? Well, I can tell you one thing I'm not looking forward to: virtual reality, because I think it's going to be a fad, and there's other problems virtual reality is going to have. Health and safety issues. They're going to have to put health and safety issue warnings up the wazoo on games for VR units that have like jump scares and all that, because people will eventually actually die from heart attacks and die from playing them. People have died playing regular video games or by never eating and all that. If you put some jump scares in and put strobe lighting, you can give people seizures and all that from games. It's going to be a complete nightmare. And there's also the part that virtual reality limits to certain types of genres of games. I mean, you can't really do all genres in virtual reality. It's kind of like phone screens. I mean, touch screens. You can't do every single type of game in the world on a touch screen. Some work fine, but other ones work really badly. And that's the same with VR. So I think VR is always going to be around, but it's going to be more used in like educational purposes and like things like that. It's just going to be one of these like niche things in consoles, and it's going to be always there, but it's never going to be the big game changer that's going to take over the industry or anything. It's just going to be there. Kind of like handhelds these days. A lot of people won't touch handhelds these days because of phone games, even though handhelds are better. But at the same time, people still buy handheld games, and there's still a market for them. I think that's what's going to happen with VR, to be honest. So, but what do I think of game development? Well, modern game development is rubbish, as I said earlier. I mean, as I said before, Saints Row the Third, another problem I remember that had was not only did the game have an online pass, but it had a DLC in the game for cheat codes, and which was something in Saints Row 2 that was 100%, pardon me, free. There was also more cheat codes in Saints Row 2 as well. So not only was you paying for something, you're getting less cheat codes than the previous one, and these blocked achievements and trophies anyway, so why are they charging money for it? I don't know, but there was, because they're greedy. And that's the big problem, as I said in the previous questions, game companies are getting too greedy. So who do I think is actually going to benefit? Indie developers. I think indie developers, when it comes to the games I play, are pretty much going to be the future. For one simple reason. Indie developers don't all make the games look photorealistic and all the same. They actually try to do different things with games. There's also other plus points that they're a lot cheaper than modern big budget games. And I'm not a graphics junkie. Lots of these small indie games like Castle Crackers, to me, Castle Crashers and stuff like that, even though it's quite a few years old, that game looks a million times better than anything like Watch Dogs ever will. I mean, the game Dust Elysium's Tale, that game looks a million times better than Watch Dogs or Far Cry ever will look. And here's the thing, that game's never going to date. Them graphics, no one's going to laugh at them graphics 10 years time, oh, they look rubbish and crap, because they don't, because the game looks perfectly how it's meant to look. And also, lots of these indie games have much small development teams. So, you've got a lot of small development teams, so they know what they're doing. They're also keeping genres alive that otherwise would be dead. I mean look, Konami pretty much killed Castlevania, but because of that Bloodstained game by the person who created the series, went off and made his own. Years ago, that would never happen. You wouldn't just see that. So we've got all these smaller games being made, and people actually help fund development of them these days. There's no point in giving loads of development funds for Ubisoft to release a new game, because they've got loads anyway. They don't need it. And they'll probably do a worse job anyway because they'll put all that microtransaction free-to-play garbage in there as well, if you want it or not. It's just really kind of sad. But yeah, indie publishers are the future of games. I mean, most of my favourite games, even on the 360, was using indie games. Published by small developers. There was not by the big companies. Because those were well designed. They had more of a graphic appeal. I like my games like cartoony. It looked like animated cartoons and stuff. And lots of indie games look like that. Lots of indie games have really unique art styles. Most big budget games do not. They all, as I said, again, I keep repeating myself here, don't I? They're all the same. And there's another plus point about indie games in general, and why I probably might skip to PC more than consoles. I mean, because of the prices. Digital prices on consoles are absolutely horrendous. It's also really bizarre to see when you see an Xbox One version of an indie game on Steam. It's more expensive, and some games on 360 out of digital never dropped in price ever once. So you've got that. Yeah, when you get massive sales on Steam, and all these indie stuff sells for next to nothing, and some of the really good stuff's really cheap. Yeah, it might be not what most people buy in the sales, so they just go for the big name stuff, but that's not me, is it? I've always liked the smaller unknown games in general, really. I mean, most of my favourite PS1 games are not games that most people in this is not Crash Bandicoot or any Gran Turismo or anything like that in my lists. It's all games that some people have heard of, most people have never even heard of. I've always been like that. And then the thing that indie developers is they make the kind of games that I enjoy, what I call games. The sort of games I grew up with. And they still make games like them. And sometimes they do better versions of them. Sometimes they do worse versions of them. And one of the biggest problems is the price of them. They're really cheap as well. Some of them look much better than big AAA games, and they're cheap. I mean, really cheap. You look at Humble Bundle. That's a prime example of that. I mean, think about it. You give some money to a charity, and how many games do you get? I mean, you pay like a few dollars, and you can get like the entire current. You like something like. I think I got Sonic Generations and Sonic All-Star Race and a few other games for Humble Bundle once, and it was like under £4 for both of them. There's no way you'd ever get them games on sale on a digital console store at that price. Then you've got the old bundle thing is something that's on PC, which I've never tried seeing console makers do. Well, that's a lie. I've seen Microsoft try doing it, and how Microsoft did it was absolutely terrible. So they actually tried to bundle games. I mean, they bundled the Banjo-Kazooie games because there's two of them on the 360 together. Here's the thing how Microsoft did it though. They did it wrong. So yeah, the bundles together, and there was a discount buying them bundled together. But the discount was only like £3, so it was like $5 off the price of both of them cost together. But they made them limited time things, and then got rid of the bundles. But these games were like 3 or 4 years old at the time on the 360, so why did they do that? Well, it was like one amazing $5 off, really. I mean, $5 is not much. I mean, when you consider things like, I'm using like Indie Gala and what's the other place called? There's another one. What's it called again? Let me remember. Bundle Stars. I mean, them ones sell. You can get quite a lot of big, well-known games in big bundles, and they sell for next to nothing. I mean, if you've got one at the moment, and you get like Great Gianna Sisters, all 3 of them modern PC games are that, and a bunch of other stuff, and it's like £2.70. All these games alone cost about £5 or plus more. So essentially, you're getting sometimes like 10 or 12 games for less than the price of one of them games would cost alone. So even if you don't like some of the games, you're not losing much money out on it. And since the Steam codes, if you don't want one of the games, you could give one of the codes to a friend as a gift. So you can just give someone the game as well. They don't even have a gifting service on modern consoles, so that's another reason why I think indie games are the future. Well, yeah, this video went on considerably a bit longer than expected, but, well, anyway, thank you for watching and listening to me rant on for this amount of time.